obviously on the first 3 Metallica records. Yeah, he was the reason we moved up to San Francisco.
Even though bassist Cliff Burton tragically passed away in 1986, Metallica frontman James Hetfield, now 61, still feels his presence in the band's creative process. To this day, Burton's influence remains strong, shaping Metallica's sound and decisions. But how exactly does Hetfield still channel the spirit of his late bandmate? Stick around as we dive into this emotional and powerful connection. Before we continue, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Rock Fame Diaries for more in-depth stories about your favorite rock legends. James Hetfield on Cliff Burton's continued influence.
As we did in our career, and yes, we miss him a lot. He's a brother.
During a recent episode of the Metallica podcast, Hetfield shared his thoughts on Burton's lasting impact. He expressed how he continues to keep Burton in mind when making creative choices for the band. What James Hetfield had to say: "Cliff still lives in all of us," Hetfield revealed. "For me, it's like I ask myself, what would Cliff do here? I hold him in such high regard that I still seek his guidance when making music. If I could create something that Cliff would appreciate, then I know it's a good day." Hetfield went on to explain that Burton wasn't just a bassist, he was a musical philosopher who brought a classical and progressive edge to Metallica's thrash foundation. Cliff had this vision that extended beyond what metal was at the time, Hetfield said. He loved Bach, he loved harmonies, and he always pushed us to think outside the box. That mindset is still part of what we do today. Looking back, Hetfield reflected on how Metallica evolved over the years and pondered how Burton might have reacted to some of their later albums. He admitted that Burton likely would have had strong opinions, particularly regarding their 90s and early 2000s material. "Well, I think there would have been some resistance," Hetfield explained. "The Black Album was a bold move, and I respect that we took that step with producer Bob Rock. But had Cliff been there, I think he would have contributed even more complex musical elements, ensuring his bass remained a focal point." Hetfield also suggested that if Burton had been alive, he might not have supported the band's shift in style during the Load and Reload eras. "I believe I would have had an ally against some of those changes," he added. Despite differing paths the band took after Burton's passing, Hetfield emphasized that Cliff's uncompromising artistic integrity continues to influence his decision-making today. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind. He stood for musical honesty. "That's something I try to channel when I write lyrics or pick guitar riffs." Cliff's voice of reason, asking, "Is this real? Is this true to us?" Hetfield also revealed that certain songs still remind him of Burton Spirit. "Whenever we perform Orion or Call of Tulu, I can feel him," he said. "Those bass lines, that atmosphere, it's like he's right there on stage with us. And every time we jam something new, there's a part of me that wonders what Cliff would have added to it." In rehearsal spaces and recording studios, Hetfield says Burton's legacy has become a kind of silent standard. "We all know what Cliff would have wanted. Not perfection, but passion. Not playing it safe, but taking risks. That's the bar he set, and we still measure ourselves by it." Cliff Burton's legacy in Metallica. Cliff Burton's impact on Metallica was undeniable. He was instrumental in shaping their early sound, contributing heavily to albums like Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, and Master of Puppets. His approach to bass playing set Metallica apart from their peers, adding layers of depth and musical complexity. Lars, Ulrich once credited Burton for introducing an entirely new dimension to the band sound. In a past interview, Ulrich described how Burton challenged the norm and always pushed boundaries in ways that were both innovative and unconventional. Lars, Ulrich acknowledged that Burton added a whole other dimension to the Metallica sound and challenged his bandmates in ways they never anticipated. In a 2013 interview with Revolver, the drummer explained, "He was up to challenge the normalcy, to challenge the status quo, to just fuck with things musically, attitude-wise, the way he dressed, the way he carried himself, his sense of humor, his relationship with the music that inspired him, the music that he played. It was always very unconventional, and it was very unusual." This week, During an appearance on the latest episode of the band's own weekly podcast, The Metallica Report, James Hetfield was asked if Burton's influence still feeds into the quartet's contemporary songwriting. His response was immediate and unequivocal. Absolutely, Hetfield answered, "Cliff still lives in all of us. The way he lives in me is I get to channel, Cliff, what would be really cool right here?" And I do hold him in such high regard that I ask for his help still, and I challenge myself. In 1982, Cliff was invited to join Metallica after the band saw him perform with his then-group Trauma. However, since the bassist was unwilling to relocate to Los Angeles, where Metallica was based, the band chose to move to the San Francisco area to accommodate his joining. Cliff Burton's legacy. Cliff Burton got his start in the Bay Area band Trauma and first got noticed by Metallica when he played Los Angeles' Whiskey Go-Go in 1982. James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich recruited him for Metallica after Ron McGovney's exit and agreed to move to the Bay Area, where Burton was located after the bassist balked at the idea of moving to Los Angeles. He first appeared on the band's 1983 Megaforce demo, then was on board for their first 3 studio albums, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, and Master of Puppets. He also received a posthumous writing credit for To Live Is to Die from 1988's and Justice for All album. The tragic accident that took Burton's life. On the night of September 26, 1986, Metallica were traveling between tour dates in Sweden when Burton and guitarist Kirk Hammett drew cards to decide who would get to choose a bunk. The bassist drew the ace of spades and chose the bunk Hammett had been occupying. "I said, fine, take my bunk," the guitarist recalled in VH1's Behind the Music. "I'll sleep up front. It's probably better anyway." The bus left the road and flipped over on its side, and Burton, who had been asleep in the preferred top bunk, was thrown through the window. As the bus came down, it landed on top of the 24-year-old musician. Reportedly, attempts were made to rescue him from underneath the bus by lifting it with a crane, but the crane slipped, and the bus crashed down on top of Burton a second time. Band members and onlookers have given different accounts of whether Burton passed away upon the first impact or when the bus came down again, but the promising young star passed away at the scene. Burton was cremated, and his ashes were scattered at the Maxwell Ranch in California. Metallica's Orion was played at the ceremony, and lyrics from To Live Is to Die are engraved upon his memorial stone. "Cannot the kingdom of salvation take me home?" Former Metallica guitarist Dave Mustaine wrote Megadeth's "In my darkest hour" after hearing of Burton's death, and fellow thrash pioneers Anthrax dedicated There Among the Living album to him. The band members have recounted the heartbreaking moments of that night, remembering Burton as not only a talented musician, but also a great friend. His legacy, however, lives on through Metallica's music and the influence he left behind. Metallica's ongoing journey. Today, Metallica have announced a new run of North American shows for 2025, including headline slots at the Sick New World and Sonic Temple festivals. The 21-date tour will run from April to June, with support at various stops coming from Pantera, Limp Bizkit. The dates are a continuation of Metallica's M72 World Tour, which started in 2023 after the release of the metal juggernaut's latest album, 72 Seasons. The band will continue the tour's party piece of No Repeat Weekends, where multiple stops will include 2 shows at the same venue, with no song getting played twice across the twin concerts. In April 2023, the first Metallica M72 show held in Amsterdam, Netherlands, and awarded it a perfect 5-star review. What's immediately clear is how much fun they're having a grinning Kirk Hammett running up to fist bump a grinning James Hetfield, Goodman wrote. During For Whom the Bell Tolls, Rob Trujillo and Kirk literally run rings around each other. There's already a party atmosphere in Amsterdam due to national holiday Koningsdag, King's Day, which seems to involve wearing orange and getting wasted, and James dedicates King Nothing to the occasion. Cliff Burton's influence on Metallica is undeniable, and his legacy continues to live on through their music. James Hetfield and the rest of the band still hold him in the highest regard, proving that some bonds in music and in life are truly unbreakable. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Metallica's history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more rock stories from Rock Fame Diaries. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.